Hey, welcome back to our lesson on the unit circle. This would be part 3 in our series, where now we have the complete unit circle. We're going to show how to generate the values for all of the trig functions from the unit circle. Okay, so to complete my table, it looks like the first thing I need to do is generate the radian angles first. So we're going to start at 0 degrees, which is 0 radians. 360 degrees is 2 pi. Half of 2 pi is 1 pi. Half of a pi is half of a pi. And a half of a half is a fourth. Okay? So every 45-degree increment is an increment of a fourth. Okay? Every 45 degrees. So 45 and 45 is 90. A fourth and a fourth is a half. 135 would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then 4/4 is pi. And then if we keep going, we've got 5/4. At 270 would be 6/4, but 6/4 reduces to a half. Next, at 315 would be 7/4, and then at 360 would be 8/4, which reduces to 2 pi. And there's all my 45-degree increments done. Okay, now in a different color, let's do the 30-degree increments. Okay, so this is 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, and 2/6 reduces to a third. And then 90 would be 3/6. 3/6 reduces to a half. Okay, next we've got 4/6. 4/6 reduces to 2/3. Next is 5/6, and then at 180 would be 6/6, which is a pi. Next, 7/6. Next is 8/6. 8/6 reduces to 4/3. And then at 270 would be 9/6. Next would be 10/6. Next would be 11/6. And then at 360 would be 12/6, which is 2. And so there's all of the radian angles. Even if you didn't have the unit circle, you can still come up with those mentally. Now we're going to fill in the sine column. If you didn't know this, in the unit circle, sine is y. So we're going to go around the unit circle and grab all of the y coordinates. Starting at 0 degrees, y is 0. And then a half, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 3 over 2, and 1. That's the first quadrant sine values. All you have to do is grab the y coordinate for each one of the ordered pairs at the given angle. And then we keep going. Square root of 3 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, 1/2, back at 0. Negative 1/2, negative square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 3 over 2, negative 1, negative square root of 3 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2, negative 1/2, and back at 0. So there's your sine values. Piece of cake. Now let's do cosine. Did you know that in the unit circle, cosine is x? So now we're just going to go around the circle and grab the x coordinates, okay? Starting at 1. And then we've got square root of 3 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, 1/2 and 0. And then going into the second quadrant, we've got negative 1/2, negative square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 3 over 2, negative 1. Again, cosine, grabbing the x coordinate as we go around the unit circle. Negative square root of 3 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2, negative 1/2, and 0. And here we go. Last but not least, fourth quadrant, 1/2, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 3 over 2, and back at 1. Next, tangent. Now, tangent is a little bit tricky because tangent is y over x. And so now you're going to have to be doing y divided by x. The easiest way that I know of to do y divided by x is to actually not do that. What you want to do is the reciprocal of x times y. Flip the x and multiply by y. That is the easiest way I know of to do tangent. So if we go to 0 degrees and we flip the x and multiply by y, that's going to be 0 times 1, which is 0. So our tangent at 0 is 0. My pen is not working. There we go. Then we're going to have 2 over square root of 3 times 1/2. 2 over square root of 3 times 1/2. Those 2's will cancel, which will leave 1 over square root of 3, which you then have to rationalize, and it's going to give you square root of 3 over 3 if you rationalize. Okay, so there's the next angle. Done. 45. Now, 45 is nice because anything divided by itself is 1. And so that's going to be 1. And then next, we're going to flip the x, multiply by y. 2's are going to cancel, and that leaves square root of 3. And then at 90 degrees, remember we're going to flip the x, but if you flip 0 over, that becomes 1 over 0, which is actually undefined, okay? So we're going to put a big U. You know what? I don't like that. I've seen in other books they put this. We're going to put und for undefined. 90 tangent is undefined. And then we're going to keep going, okay? 1 over x times y is the tool. Now, in the second quadrant, we're going to be multiplying a negative times a positive, so all of these are going to be negative values. So this is going to be negative square root of 3, negative 1, negative square root of 3 over 3, and at 180, we're back at 0, okay? Back at 0. 210. Negative times a negative makes a positive. So all of these angles in the third quadrant are going to be positive values. And if we flip the x, multiply by y, that's going to give us square root of 3 over 3, 1, square root of 3, and then back at undefined. Again, 270 is undefined because if you flip the x, or if you think of y over x, dividing by 0 is undefined. And then in the fourth quadrant, again, we're going to have a negative times a positive. So these values are going to be negative. And we're going to have negative square root of 3, negative 1, negative square root of 3 over 3, and then all the way back to 0. There's your values for tangent. So if you can get the first 3 columns, sine, cosine, and tangent, all you have to do to get cosecant, secant, cotangent is flip their respective trig function, okay? So sine and cosecant are reciprocal functions. Cosine and secant are reciprocal functions. Tangent and cotangent are reciprocal functions, okay? So doing the cosecant in red because it corresponds to sine, undefined. Because if I flip 0 over, that's 1 over 0, which is undefined. I'm going to flip a half, which gives me 2. I'm going to flip square root of 2 over 2, which gives me square root of 2, okay? Okay, let me show that. If I flip square root of 2 over 2, it makes it 2 over square root of 2. And then if I rationalize, that's going to give me 2 square root of 2 over 2, and the 2's will cancel, giving me just square root of 2. So that's how you get the square root of 2 there, okay? And then if I flip square root of 3 over 2, that's going to give me 2 over square root of 3. And then if I rationalize, that's going to give me 2 square root of 3 over 3. 2 square root of 3 over 3. And then I get to 1, and if I flip over 1, I get 1, okay? And then we go back. 2 square root of 3 over 3, square root of 2, flip over a half, we get 2, and then if I flip over 0, I get undefined. And then here we go again, flipping them over, this time they're negative. Negative 2, negative square root of 2, negative 2 square root of 3 over 3, and negative 1. And then keep flipping them. 2 square root of 3 over 3. Flipping a negative does not make it positive. Okay? So if it's negative sine, it's going to be negative cosecant. And back to flipping over 0, which is undefined. And there's all of your cosecant. Next, let's do cosine gives me secant. Flipping over cosine. Flipping over 1 gives me 1. Square root of 3 over 2 flipped over. That is 2 square root of 3 over 3. That is square root of 2. And if I flip over 1/2, I get 2. If I flip over 0, I get undefined. Negative 2, negative square root of 2, negative 2 square root of 3 over 3, and negative 1. So far, so good? Okay, next, we're going to get negative 2 square root of 3 over 3, negative square root of 2, negative 2, undefined. Remember, we're just flipping over the cosine, flipping each one of those fractions, and if you flip 0, you get undefined. And then 2, square root of 2, 2 square root of 3 over 3, and flipping over 1 gives me 1. And last but not least, cotangent. Means I just got to flip over the tangent, okay? And the only ones, there's going to be a couple of one of these that are tricky where it's undefined, okay? And we can go to the unit circle and figure those out. Flipping over 0 gives me undefined, okay? Square root of 3 over 3 flipped over is going to be 3 over square root of 3. And if I rationalize that, that's just going to be square root of 3. 1 flipped over is 1. Square root of 3 flipped over is going to be square root of 3 over 3 once you rationalize. And then let's do 90. The ordered pair at 90 is 0, 1. So if cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, then cotangent is x over y. If I look at x over y there, that's going to be 1. I'm sorry, 0 divided by 1, and 0 divided by anything is 0. So the cotangent at 90 is going to be 0 because it's x over y, and 0 over 1 is 0. Okay, and then I can keep going, flipping the tangent values. This is going to give me negative square root of 3 over 3, negative 1, negative square root of 3, and of course if I flip 0 I get undefined. And then I keep going, okay? Square root of 3, 1, square root of 3 over 3, and then if I go to 270, again that's going to be 0 divided by negative 1, 0 divided by any non-zero number is 0. Next, square root of 3 over 3, flipping the tangent values, negative, and those are going to have to be negative because if I flip a negative, I still get a negative. Negative square root of 3. And then, of course, my last is going to be flipping over 0, which is undefined. Did that actually write? Yeah, it wrote that. And there you go. That generates the entire chart for all of the trig functions in the unit circle. And that would be a nice chart to have handy. Maybe on your cheat sheet. Maybe get a tattoo. I don't know. Don't get somebody's name. Get math, because you'll never have to change it. So I hope all that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comment section below, or you can text me. And thanks for watching.